Hi everyone, I'm Hoodie Angel Brandon, and welcome to another Fire Emblem Heroes unit build showcase. Today we are here to build our holiday hero, Hilda. Hilda! Yes, we are going to build her up after all this time. She is finally ready to get off the bench and help support the Angel Army just a little bit. You may say, oh, but Hilda is out of season, and you're kind of right, but honestly, Hilda kind of strikes me as the type of person who just wouldn't be bothered to take down their holiday decorations till like May. So I would say that this is actually pretty fitting for her. So anyway, that aside, let's go ahead and get started. So to start, we do need to promote these Hilda combat manuals, using up a lot of feathers. Even though it looks like I'm starting to run out, I actually have a lot left over that I just haven't collected yet, so Hilda is expensive, but she's not breaking the bank here. And now we are ready to merge her up. And I like Hilda a lot. She's not my favorite character from Three Houses, but I kind of relate to her. We can both be kind of lazy, but we get pretty excited to work on things that actually interest us. So I kind of relate to her in that regard. She's also very loyal, which is something that I think is really cool about her. If you're on a route where you would directly oppose Claude, she just won't join you, which I think is really cool that she's just got that loyalty to her. Even if you can technically sway her, unlike Dedu or Hubert, I still think that she's still pretty loyal, and I can appreciate that. And also, we both like to kind of cheer from the sidelines, support people. And on that note, I think we'd both rock a cheerleader outfit. There's a lot of things I actually like about Hilda, and also her design is just really cute. Love the pink hair, and I'm excited to have her join our team. +9. And finally, at long last, only several months late, we have our +10 Hilda. Here she is, looking great, pretty fast for an armor unit, especially for a demote unit. So overall, looking forward to actually sitting down and building her. And also, she is our 28th +10, which is just kind of nifty. That means that we can officially do Arena Assault using only +10 units now, which is a cool little thing. Because I wasn't originally planning to +10 her, she already does have some stuff like this blessing, and she already has her support partner, but we still want to give her some more presence. She's also plus speed, as again, she's pretty fast for a demote armor, and so we're going to lean into that speed. We don't need to ascend her traits, and since we already had a plus speed version, that's the asset we're building off of, so we don't need to work on that at all. However, as is tradition, we can give her some armored flowers. A whopping 15, actually. I didn't realize she was able to get that many, but there we go, a lot of extra stats for her. And of course, a fashionable girl like Hilda does need a super cute accessory, so naturally we're gonna go with the performer's mask. Okay, sorry, that was a joke, I'm just kidding. She's not going to wear the clown nose. For real though, we're going to go with the Fralian Ornament EX. It just kind of matches her color scheme. It looks kind of cute. Yeah, I like how it looks on her, so we're gonna just go with that, keep it simple. And even though she is winter themed, I think that she looks oh so cute regardless of the season, so we don't really need to give her a specifically winter themed accessory. Now it is time to inherit skills. We're going to get even more presents from all of her lovely admirers. She is, after all, a very popular girl. Starting things off, we're going to use a Barst to get reposition and also Spur Attack 1 through 3. Rally Def Res off of a Roderick. And while I don't like this assist very much, we're going to grab Pivot from Erica. It can still be helpful for armor units to help them keep up with allies. Silver Lance and Smite from Effie. And finally, the last of our movement assists, we're just going to go ahead and grab Drawback from Sully. Gonna go ahead and grab Bonfire, just to give her a nice, relatively quick charging special option. While she is leaning more into speed, she does have pretty solid base defense as well. Eventually upgrading to something like Armored Beacon may be worthwhile. And now the rest of this is fairly obvious, but we're gonna grab Kestrel Stance from Yenfei, Kestrel Stance 3 and Savvy Fighter from Valentine's Lucina, and now from Dear Old Dad Anankos, we're going to go ahead and grab Savvy Fighter 4 and AS Near Save, and this will essentially give her his entire kit since we got Kestrel Stance 3 from Lucina, and now we're going to have the Savvy Fighter 4 and the Near Save. So basically the plan is to make her into Anankos, but a cute anime girl. And finally, her base weapon, while okay, I don't feel is a great fit for her. It does lean into attack and defense instead of speed, which is the stat that we want to lean into. So instead we're going to replace her weapon, and for that I have gotten two options for her. We have Arcane Lance, which funny enough is a weapon you could technically give her in 3 houses, so it is fitting in that regard. And this gives her bonus damage based off of her speed, neutralizes the foe's bonuses to speed, def, and also gives her guaranteed follow-up attacks, which is all pretty good. However, since we are already giving her Savvy Fighter, which neutralizes foes' follow-up attacks, this is not as valuable for her, so instead we're going to save Ingrid for someone else, and instead we're going to get Arcane Qiang from Alfred, which, in addition to the other arcane effects like Lewin with accelerating the special trigger and also giving bonus stats, this gives her a guaranteed follow-up attack and prevents follow-up attacks, which could be helpful if anyone is actually outspeeding her. Not the most important effects, I would say, but still pretty helpful. And also more valuable, I would say, is that it gives a special cooldown charge if either her or an opponent moved from their starting space when they initiate. Now, that doesn't actually apply when her save triggers. Her save activating does not count as her moving a space. As long as the enemy moves 1 space to attack our unit, then it should still be triggering and helping us charge our special, which does free up her seal from running something like Darting Breath. So even though it is not the perfect weapon for her, I think it will work well enough. So we're going to grab the Arcane weapon. We also already inherited to Alfred in preparation of this, Rally Def Res, Aether, and we'll also go ahead and grab his crossbow attack just as a throw-in. Probably won't ever use that, but we're already getting this stuff for free, so we might as well grab it. And there we go. Oh, absolutely, Hilda, you are indeed going to have to work for this. Sorry, sweetie. So now we're going to just start learning our skills as usual, and we're also going to speed refine her weapon. Stack her speed ever higher to help combat the aggressive speed creep. So with all of her skills learned, we are ready to build her up. Again, we are pretty much just copy-pasting this build from Anankos, although I want to point out that this was already the build I was planning for her before Anankos was released, so that wouldn't have changed anything except for the fact that it gave us a tier 4 skill and made it a little bit easier to get everything in one place. But other than that, the build didn't change at all. Starting things off, we are taking the Arcane Lance. Of course, the slaying effect and the +5 stats across the board is very good for her, but this also gives a guaranteed follow-up attack, prevents foes from making a follow-up attack, and also charges her special. The follow-up attack stuff isn't as helpful because she is stacking so much speed, but it could still be useful in certain niche scenarios, in particular against super fast enemies who aren't running null follow-up for whatever reason. So there is still some use to it. Unfortunately, the other currently available Arcane Lance, Lewin, also has overlap with certain parts of her kit, so neither of them are a perfect fit for the build that I want to build, but maybe in the future we'll see a lance that synergizes a little bit better for her. For more budget options, her default Candy Cane is okay, but since it only boosts attack and def instead of speed, she's really going to miss that extra speed. So for that reason, before we got the Arcane Lance, I was looking at the Springy Lance and the Rain Lance, and I would probably go with one of those if I couldn't afford an arcane weapon. For her assist skill, really any of them could be helpful depending on the map. Of course, reposition is the standby, and swap is also pretty good for armors. You could even take advantage of pivot so that she could keep closer to her allies, but I'm going to take Rally Def Res. Just lets her cheer for her allies, spur them on to do their best. What a supportive girl. In particular, I can see it having synergy with a Far Save armor. She can buff them, and then they could buff her with a speed boosting rally. Then you just have a very powerful armored core buffing each other and taking care of your enemy phase needs for you. Pretty helpful combo there. But definitely flexible for more movement-based options if needed. For her special, we're going to take Aether to give her that sustain, and the Arcane Lance will be very helpful in keeping that charged frequently, setting it at 4 cooldown initially, and then since she will double the foe so often, then she will be able to trigger it on her second hit and heal up. The Arcane weapon also lets her fire off a bonfire on every retaliation if you want just more damage. And if you're feeling extra premium, you could definitely get Armored Beacon for her as well. But for now, we're going to just stick with Aether. In the A slot, we're going to grab Kestrel Stance, boosts the attack and more importantly the speed by 6, and also gives her the guard effect, which just makes it harder to break her with various specials. Another option for the A slot would be Attack Speed Unity, which could be helpful to help prevent her from getting hindered by debuffs. And that would probably be better if she was running Special Fighter 4 in her B slot, but we're going to take Savvy Fighter. Gives her a little bit of extra cushion by debuffing the enemy's speed and attack, letting her tank a little bit better, and then also if the foe initiates on her, then it does give her null follow-up, which is pretty helpful for how fast she is, guarantee those doubles, and prevent her from getting doubled. And then also if it reduces damage from the foe's first attack by 40%, which is very helpful for her tanking. While the fact that it only affects the foe's first attack seems troublesome, you have to bear in mind the fact that she's inherently super fast, so it'll be hard to double her naturally. And then this null follow-up effect also prevents guaranteed follow-up attacks, so she's not likely to be doubled that way. And then her Arcane Lance also has built-in follow-up denial, just in case they found a way around that. So in like over 90% of cases, she shouldn't be getting doubled anyway, so she should only be having to reduce that first attack anyway. So it shouldn't really factor in most of the time. Finally, in the C slot, we are just, again, taking Anonkos' whole kit. We're grabbing that AS near save to let her get more speed when she triggers Savior. Finally, for her seal, we could take Mystic Boost, which would be a little bit more helpful if we were running either Bonfire or Armored Beacon. But honestly, even with that sustain, I don't think it's as valuable as just stacking her speed higher. So really want one of the speed boosting seals. She could definitely take a stance skill or again a breath skill if you're not running the Arcane Lance. If she's receiving buffs from an ally, we could take Speed Def Ideal, but I think that she would either prefer a speed boosting form skill like Speed Def or Attack Speed Form, or a bond skill. Ignatz is already using the Attack Speed Bond, so I think we're going to go with Speed Res Bond. The form skill does give her a higher stat ceiling of +7 versus +5 here. However, the Speed Res Bond is easier to trigger. Really fairly flexible. Although certain ones like the solo skills and life and death aren't terribly helpful for her, this will work fine, I think, and it also patches up her res, which is a little shakier than her defense, which will help her against dragons a little bit more. So there she is, looking very snazzy, very fast. And then if you add up the boost from her lance and all of her various skills, she actually does hit 75 plus speed. It can actually go higher if you take a form skill, but pretty fast, all things considered. Again, that does only trigger if the enemy initiates on her, but that is her job, is to take hits on enemy phase, so she should do a pretty good job of it. So for our teammates, we're going to go ahead and bring Claude. Of course, the partners in crime need to stick together, and Hilda can kind of cover Claude for melee, although it's not as important for him since he does have that damage reduction, could still be helpful, and he is a more player phase focused unit. And since we have 2 of the golden deer, we might as well go ahead and bring our boy Ignatz along as well for the Fear the Deer trio. He isn't necessarily the best far save armor to accompany her. I think that she would actually appreciate someone who's more full defense oriented rather than speed oriented like Ignatz. She would probably rather bring Annette or Valentine's Alphonse, but Ignatz is thematic and he will still work well enough with her in creating a save tank core. And then in the last slot, we'll go ahead and bring Professor Byleth, Legendary Byleth in this case. Since that is his pure player phase version, he will appreciate having the 2 save tanks to support, compared to regular and Kadean Byleth, who have more enemy phase presence. And that gives another strong player phase nuke to help cover Hilda's lacking player phase. All of them are just running their standard builds. Claude with his pure offensive set, Ignatz with his speed tank set, and Byleth with his player phase wind sweep build. So nothing too mind-blowing or crazy there. And yeah, let's go ahead and take the team out and test our girl. Alright, we are here in Arena Assault, and we've got a Corrin lead, which is always nice to see a Corn boy, but this is also an angel fight, it looks like, so let us see how we hold up. Alright, we've got Alm and Crom, which are immediately troublesome. Don't really want to deal with them. We have a pretty heavy invested Ninja Corrin, looking very cool there. Different from the way I built my Ninja Corrin. I did actually just recently give him his Arcane Lance, but I went a different direction with the build, but he looks very strong. And then finally we have a Marth, so a lot of stuff to deal with here. We will probably need help to get rid of these ranged threats, so let's start by just passing turn and hopefully baiting down those ranged units. Yeah, we're gonna have Byleth just dismantle Crom. I don't want to deal with him. Trying to keep him alive so that Hilda could move over and try and attack him would just be a big headache. So it's best to just deal with that while we have the chance. And we're going to move Ignatz up and then pass. Okay, no, Alm did not move the direction I was hoping he would. I would really like Alm to move back this way. No luck, it looks like, though. Okay. So, instead, we're going to rally Hilda and move like that. Alright, Corrin attacks into her, but he's not able to outspeed us, and we take him down. Okay. Looks like we can't just take out Alm with Hilda. I was hoping he would move close enough we could take him out with her, but that's fine. Byleth can do it. No issues there. Immediately drops him. And now we'll just pull back and let Hilda take care of Marth. Hits her with the Shining Emblem, calls victory well before he has actually earned it, and he is rewarded with a Aether to the face for his lies and deceptions. Take that, Marth. So that is our Hilda. Of course, she has the issues of being in armor and having a difficult time reaching enemies, and of course she does want someone else to deal with the ranged threats for her. And she does really appreciate boosts to her speed, especially support from her teammates, but she does still hold up pretty well, I think, for a pretty old demote unit. I think this build is fine. She will also struggle against a lot of the enemies that are running around with DR piercing effects, so we definitely still want to build some standard armored units who don't rely on the damage reduction gimmick, but overall pretty pleased with her, and I think she turned out pretty well for how much we invested in her. I'm looking forward to seeing her in other scenarios as well, but for now I would say she did a good job. Anyway, thanks for watching. Again, one of the more simple builds that we've done, but still was fun to mess around with a fast armor, one of the lesser used archetypes, and I hope you found it at least interesting. Anyway, thank you guys as always so much for watching, and until next time, this is Hoodie Angel Brandon and Hilda signing out.